Now that you guys have got quite good at building cities in Minecraft, and you've also practiced drawing isometric blocks on an engineering drawing board, we're going to put those two skills together and learn how to design a city on a drawing board using the isometric view. This lesson comes in two parts. In the first, we're going to understand some existing isometric views of cities, like the one that you see in the background, and then in part B we're going to turn to our engineering drawing boards and design a city of our own. So let's have a look at the design that you see in the background. Firstly, notice that all the streets are flat. None of them are meant to be going uphill or downhill. So there's no height to the streets. In other words, we're not going to have any height lines involved. If we have a look at this street over here, which I'm going to draw with a blue line like that, that street runs the length of the city. So it's a length line. I'm just going to use an L over here. Then if we draw a line, it should really be behind this tree, but I'm just going to draw it over the top of the tree like that. That would be a height line. And then finally, if we from this point over here go to the left, that would be the width of the city. Once again, I've drawn the line over the top of this building. Actually, it's meant to go behind the building, just like this line is meant to be behind the tree. Now, our length and width lines are at 30 degrees from the horizontal, length going to the right and width going to the left. Not a bad idea for you to check that with a protractor. In other words, if I draw a line over here which is horizontal, then this angle here should be exactly 30 degrees. If you have a protractor, I'd like you to pause the video now and just check that that is exactly 30 degrees on your protractor. Okay, so now that you've done that, I'm just going to delete these again so that they don't confuse us. Now, one thing you need to watch out for is lines that are not height or length or width. So I'm just going to use a different color to draw some of these lines over here in green. There's another one over here in green, and you can probably identify a whole lot more in this picture. I'm just going to draw one more here. So if you can pick up those lines I've drawn in green, those lines are what we would call diagonal lines. So they're a combination of height and length, or height and width, or some other combination. I'll just write that word for you over here. Hopefully you can see it in this horrible green pen. So it's D-I-A-G-O-N-A-L. That really isn't a very nice color, but those are called diagonal lines. If I go back to my blue pen, which I think you can see a bit better, these height and width and length lines, because they're all at 90 degrees to each other, are called orthogonal. Orthogonal lines. Now, one of the skills of doing an isometric drawing is to identify which are the orthogonal and which are the diagonal lines, and you must always draw the orthogonal lines first. So let's have a look at another example of an isometric city design. Once again, in this design, you should be able to see the length lines going in that direction. That's a length line. Then that would be a width line showing the width of the city, and then this would be a height line going up in that direction. So we draw our length to the right, our width to the left, and our height going straight up. Again, in this drawing there are some diagonal lines, so I'm going to use green again for diagonal, and you should be able to see over there's a diagonal line. Over here there's another one, and there are a few others that if you'd like to pause the video and try and identify other diagonal lines. Now that you've had a chance to do that, let's just check. So you should have found some diagonal lines over here. There are a whole lot of them. I won't draw all of them. There's an interesting bunch of diagonal lines here, all drawn in green. This one on the building at the back is also diagonal. In fact, this one, even though it seems to go flat, is really a diagonal line, and there might be some others that you can find if you look very carefully in that drawing. Second thing to watch out for, as well as diagonal lines, is circles. These umbrellas over here in real life are circular when viewed from the top. When viewed from the side like this, the circle becomes a bit squashed and they become isometric ellipses. I drew that first one very badly. Let me try and draw the second umbrella a little bit better. Here's an interesting circle, this helipad. When you first look at it, you'll think it's a circle because in real life it is. But because we're viewing it from the side, actually if you trace that circle out very carefully, you'll see that it's a circle that's been squashed. And once again, if you look around the drawing, you'll see a number of circles that are not quite circles anymore. In a later video, we'll learn how to draw circles properly in isometric, but for now you just need to be aware that if you do put circles into your drawings, they will end up being a bit squashed into ellipses. So those are the existing designs of cities in isometric I wanted you to have a look at. In the next video we will do the same thing on our drawing board and try and understand how to draw a city design of our own.